Hi, lovely humans! Paris is a city that has just so much to offer, so much to do, so much to visit, but it's also a pretty expensive destination. So in this video, I will share 20 tips from a local on how to make your visit in Paris less expensive, just more affordable. I'm Clara, I'm French, I've been living in Paris or its suburbs my whole life, and I am in my mid-20s. I have been a student here, so I'm used to living on a pretty limited budget in Paris, but that has never stopped me from enjoying life here. So I want to share with you some cost-effective ways, some tips to just make the most out of your stay. Without further ado, there's a lot to cover, so let's get into the video. My first tip will be on how to get around in Paris. First of all, most likely you really do not need a taxi. Both of Paris' major airports, Charles de Gaulle and Orly airports, are fairly accessible by public transportation, so you really do not need a taxi unless you want to. Charles de Gaulle Airport is on the RER line, so Metro B line, which will take you straight to the center of Paris, and the line runs from 5 AM to midnight. Orly Airport is not directly on a metro line, but it does have Orlyval and the Orlybus. If you arrive to Paris by train, just know that all of the train stations are on multiple metro lines and bus lines, so it's just really easy to generally get to your hotel accommodation with public transportation. In the same vein, my second tip is to really get familiar with the public transportation system. If you come from a country or a city that doesn't really have a public transportation system, looking at the Paris metro map will be scary. Like, there is a lot going on, but every lines are on Google Maps, so it's really easy if you have data or from the Wi-Fi of your accommodation to just see the lines that you need to take, the connections you need to take. The public transportation in Paris is really quite efficient, quick. Of course, we have some problem with public transportation, namely that it can get a bit dirty sometimes. If it's very crowded in peak hours, there can be some pickpocketing happening, so you do need to be careful about that, but I will talk about it more later in the video. If the metro makes you uncomfortable though, if you're a bit claustrophobic or you just don't like the vibe, you can definitely take the bus as well. You can see the outside, admire Paris while you are on your journey from point A to point B. The buses are really efficient. They just don't run as often usually. Like, they're a bit more irregular than the metro line, but like most cases you'll have one maximum every 15 minutes. And to use all of this public transportation, you should buy the Navigo card. You'll need to go to a station that actually has a physical desk with an actual person there, and then you can ask for the Navigo Easy card, and on there you can just basically load tickets, load journeys. A typical journey will cost you between 1 and 2 euros if you stay within Paris, and then you can just tap that when you enter buses, when you enter metro stations, etc. Also, let me know if you want a video that's about like metro etiquette, because honestly there is a lot of metro etiquette that Parisians like me know, like it's ingrained in us, and then it really grinds our gears when foreigners don't do it. But also, we can't blame you for not doing it because you don't know. But yeah, let me know if you want a video about that so I can actually let you know about all of those etiquette things in public transportation. Third tip, if you really like biking, you can consider using the Vélib to get around Paris. Vélib is a bike share program that has so many bike stations all around Paris. It's really affordable as well. I think getting a bike there ends up being something like 5 euros a day, so if you love biking, that can be a very good option. Do remember though that Paris traffic is a bit crazy, so be safe out there, have a helmet. I'm personally not a big biker, so I definitely wouldn't bike in Paris because I would be too scared. But if you're someone who's really used to doing that, that can be a very cost-effective way of getting around Paris as well. Now let's move on to tips about accommodation. Which area of Paris you stay in can have a big impact on your stay, on how much you enjoy the city, especially because the cleanliness in Paris varies a lot street to street, and just the vibe in general are very different depending on the neighborhood. you do not need to stay in like the very extra center of Paris. You probably don't want to stay right by the Eiffel Tower. That will be more expensive, and like you can get good views elsewhere. Just shop around, look around. I have a whole video breaking down the different neighborhoods in Paris, and that can give you a better idea of where you want to stay. In terms of what type of accommodation to pick, I am a pretty strong proponent of Airbnb when you're in Paris. There are a lot of hotels in Paris, from the cheapest motel type of thing to the palace. The quality can really vary a lot, but outside of like the really big palaces, more expensive doesn't always mean better. If you're on a very tight budget, you can go towards like 2 to 3 stars hotel. Honestly, I really would not stay at a 1-star one, but also do check out Airbnb. I know that there is a lot of debate to be had on like the ethics of Airbnb, but really Paris is already really gentrified and expensive anyway. If you want to be ethical, you can try to stay at a place where someone lives the rest of the year. Like this is actually someone's house and they're just renting it out during their holiday, and not like a professional company. That's just if that's important to you though. But yeah, having an Airbnb in Paris will generally mean more space, more independence, some cooking inside, which can save you money, of course. My general opinion is that if you're a budget traveler, you can try to aim for 60 euro per night for either a studio or a hotel bedroom. So that will end up being something like 30 euros per person. I think that even in hostels in Paris, there aren't many hostels in Paris, but even in hostels, you can't really get much lower than that. Accommodation is very likely to be one of, if not the biggest share of your budget for your trip to Paris. That's just kind of unavoidable, but you can really try to save in other areas. For example, your visits, the actual visiting. As much as possible, walk between places. Walking is really what makes the Parisian experience. Just getting lost in a neighborhood, just walking between places, you get to soak in so much more of the vibe. You get to discover little streets. You get to see so many things that are not going to be in the guidebooks necessarily. Try to organize your day so that, for example, half the day or even a whole day is spent in one area of Paris, and then you can like kind of walk as much as possible between those different locations. My favorite areas to just get lost in and just walk all of the streets are around the Panthéon, in the Marais, around Canal Saint-Martin, the back of the hill of Montmartre, and also all the covered little passageways like Galerie des Panoramas. So bring good walking shoes so your feet don't die. Next tips. Some museums are free all year round, and some have specific time of the year or time of the month where they're free. So be on the lookout for that. Lots of public museums have temporary exhibitions that have a fee, but then their permanent exhibition, their permanent collection is free to access, like Musée d'Art Moderne, Musée Cognac-Jay of the 18th century, Musée de la Vie Romantique, Musée de la Libération. Many museums are free on the first Sunday of each month. That's the case for Centre Pompidou, Musée d'Orsay with the Impressionist art, Musée de Cluny for medieval art, Musée Picasso, etc., etc. In general, there are a lot of free things to do in Paris. There are a lot of concerts happening all the time in Paris. Some of them are in festivals, in parks, in the streets, in churches. Just look around on the internet, in the street, and you'll find a lot of just free entertainment. Église Saint-Méry, for example, has a great programming for classical music that is free or very cheap. You can also find just a lot of little art galleries that you can peruse and like just absorb the art, and that's free. If you're someone who's really into the art, I definitely recommend to go to the 59 Rivoli, which is a building on the Rue de Rivoli, so like right in the center of Paris, that has been reclaimed by a bunch of artists, and so it's really beautiful. Always different artists taking residence there, producing art. It's contemporary art, it's fun, it's colorful. Just go there and it's free. If you're a student, if you're under 18 or if you're under 26 and from the EU, you'll get a lot of discounted prices everywhere, like 50% discount or even free admission. So don't Don't forget to bring your student ID card. For example, Le Louvre is free if you're under 26 and from the EU. It's also free on Friday nights if you're under 26 and from any other nationalities. And it's also free if you are an art student or a teacher. My next tip is that some very popular things are really overrated, especially for how much they cost. Do your own research, make your own opinion, but like, looking at you, Musée Grévin. Of course, as a tourist, you probably want to go up the Eiffel Tower. I respect that. But do consider that it's going to mean hours of crowds, hours of queues, going in an area that is full of like pickpockets and people trying to scam you. And once you're up there, you have a gorgeous view of Paris, of course, but you don't have a view of Paris that includes the Eiffel Tower because you're on it. If you want another place with a gorgeous view of Paris that will include the Eiffel Tower and that will be a lot cheaper, consider Arc de Triomphe, for example. Of course, you probably still want to go up the Eiffel Tower. I get it. It's a one-in-a-lifetime opportunity, but I just want to encourage you to like ask yourself what's really worth it. And in the things that are really worth it, I will include the parks. Take some time to stroll in the beautiful parks and gardens we have in Paris. We have Jardin du Luxembourg, we have Parc des Buttes-Chaumont. Those are really just gorgeous places and they're free. The next tips are going to be around eating, a favorite subject of the French. For breakfast, it can be very tempting to go to a Parisian cafe and like, honestly, maybe do it once during your stay. But I think that the quality of like the bakeries you'll get there, like the croissant and everything, the price of the coffee, it's a little bit expensive for what it is. I personally think it's a much better option to go to a bakery, like go to an actual bakery and just like load up on like the fresh bread, the fresh croissant, pain au chocolat, whatever viennoiserie, whatever puff pastry your heart desire, and then just take it to go. Like a lot of bakeries even offer coffee now and it will be cheaper than at a cafe. So just take it to go and then go back to your Airbnb or just go in a beautiful park. Like I've definitely done that with friends before, just grab like butter and jam at a supermarket, grab the pastries and the bread and then sit on the grass in a garden in Paris and just soak it in. Much better in my experience than the overpriced cafe for breakfast at least. I will say though that like if you are going to a specific place like Le Valentin Vivienne or another one of those like really like breakfast place or those places that like specialize in like pies or that have like very fancy teas and coffees or brunches, of course like that's different. That's a different experience that you're going for. Then for lunch, a lot of restaurants have a meal of the day for lunch, like a special that is going to be cheaper than the evening menu. And that includes actually a lot of Michelin star restaurants, a lot of very fancy upscale restaurants will have a slightly more simple or slightly smaller menu for lunch. And that can be a good way to like still go to those fancy places, but get a price tag that's a bit more affordable if you want to, by just going there for lunch instead of going there for dinner. Next tip about restaurants, you do not have to tip in restaurants. French people do not expect tipping. Tipping is always welcome. Tipping is never offensive, but it is not expected of you. If you come from a culture where tipping is required, like if you're American and your waiter know that you're American, they might kind of expect a tip, but you definitely don't have to tip like 10% or 20% off your bill. Like a typical French person, if they want a tip, will leave like €1, €2, like every person on at the table can like put 1, 2, 3 euros. That's like a normal tip, I'd say, for a French person. Correct me, fellow Frenchies, in the comments if you disagree. Honestly, from what I've heard from like people working in restaurants, rather than tipping a lot, what you can do is be a good customer. Be polite, be smiling, be respectful, be patient if they have a lot of people to serve. And if you're very happy with your meal, leave a good review on Google Maps. That will help their business a lot. If you want an inexpensive but very Parisian dinner, do a picnic by the Seine. That's a thing that us local do all the time, is that we will just hit the supermarket, grab like dips, like hummus, tzatzikis. We'll grab cucumbers, we'll grab bread from the bakery. We'll just grab little like snacks like cherry tomatoes, saucisson, whatever we want, like pâtés, just all of the dips, all the little things that we can have with bread. We'll grab just like a random bottle of rosé or white wine, and then we'll just go sit by the Seine on the banks and we'll just chill, look at the sunset, have a little picnic. For me, it's one of the best things ever. Honestly, it's really hot in Paris right now. I need my iced tea. I cannot survive otherwise. Oh, by the way, talking about water, I didn't put a tip on that, but throwing it in there. A lot of places have water fountains everywhere, drinkable water fountains. So don't really bother buying water bottles unless you want them to be really fresh. Same in restaurants. If you ask for une carafe d'eau, s'il vous plaît, une carafe d'eau, s'il vous plaît, it will just be tap water, fresh tap water, usually because they do put it in the fridge, and that will be free. So don't bother paying for water. My last few tips are going to be around avoiding to lose money. Avoiding scams or things that are gonna make you lose money in a way that's not worth it. First of all, big disclaimer, never buy tickets for like the bus or the metro anywhere but the machine in the train station or like an actual desk in the station. Do not buy tickets from random people. Even if they're cheaper, most likely a scam, they will not work. Just don't do it. They're fake. Your trip can end up costing you a lot more if you get your phone or your wallet stolen. Yeah. This is the topic we do not like to talk about, but we have to talk about. Be careful about pickpockets. I don't want to put in your brain that like everyone in Paris is out to get you, but there are rules of like personal safety and just like being aware of your surroundings that you do have to follow. Public transportation or the very crowded areas around touristic sites are the places where pickpockets are going to be. Really, you're not going to find them in general, like in just random streets. It's going to be public transportation or touristic areas, crowds. So what you do about that is your phone, wallets, you put them in a bag that you can close or in pockets of your clothes that you can close. Do not go in the metro with a phone sticking out the back pocket of your jean or with valuables in your backpack that is unzipped. That is a recipe to get it stolen. Like if you have a backpack with like pockets that have things in them, just like put your bag in front of you when you're in the public transportation. It's also better so you don't risk like bumping into someone without realizing it. So it's better for other people, better for you. Again, I'm not trying to make you paranoid. There are just things that are automatic for a local like me, and so you should know about them. Also, I should mention that another place where you can get some pickpocketing is when you're just sitting at the terrace of a cafe. Keep your bag and your belongings close to you and like kind of pay attention to your surroundings there. Lastly, a very popular scam around the Eiffel Tower is one where someone will come up to you telling you that they have a petition for like a good cause that they want you to sign. The cause might look very good. It might look like getting support for like deaf children or something like that. Might sound like something you want to support. Do not sign their petitions though. Those are scams. Once you sign, the person will get extremely pushy and aggressive and say you owe them money. And usually other people that they are in a group with will show up and pressure you into giving money now that you've signed. They can get really quite pushy, so you don't want to be signing in the first place. Just if someone comes up with you with like that type of thing around the Eiffel Tower with like the sheet to sign for a petition, just ignore them, walk away. People that are actually representing real charities will usually not have anything for you to sign. They will be wearing uniforms that like clearly say what charity they're representing. And they really, they don't have anything for you to sign. They really only want to talk to you about their charity, usually. They don't do any type of actual money exchange in person. I hope this video was useful. If you have a question, I'll be happy to answer. You can leave it in the comment. I could give you a lot more recommendations. I could also tell you about all of the places I love to go for food and drinks in Paris. Let me know if you want more recommendations on life in Paris, traveling to Paris. Also, follow me on Instagram so you can see all of my pictures of Paris, and you can DM me there if you have more specific questions. I have a bunch of useful resources and videos that I've done listed in the description. Go check that out. And yeah, thank you for watching until the end. I hope you have a wonderful, wonderful stay in Paris, and I hope I see you again soon. Bye!